Hey everyone, welcome to the second episode of showing off how I use the scenario generator tool I made. You can find it at flightsim101.com to practice real-world stuff in a flight sim. We're approaching Lake Conroe now. I'm pointed more or less right at an island that we're going to use for our first in-the-air maneuver. We're going to be doing turns around a point as a ground reference maneuver. Clear the area, identify a point to navigate around, enter a downwind entry point, usually left downwind. Roll into the turn and keep a constant radius around the reference point. Navigate around the point twice. Exit at the downwind lead you've entered at. Okay. So there's an island up there off our nose, a little bit to the left. That's where we're going to be headed to, and that's going to be our point of reference. We're going to be performing this maneuver at 1,000 feet MSL, which in this case is about 900 feet AGL, so it's a good altitude to do this maneuver at. And we're just going to descend now down to 1,000. Now we need to do a clearing turn, so what we're actually going to do is overfly the island while looking for traffic, and then we're going to do a 180 degree turn while looking for traffic, and then enter the downwind for the island, which the wind is more or less going into the wind right now. The wind is basically calm. It's only 1 or 2 knots. It really doesn't matter. So we're going to presume right now I'm headed flying into the wind, and we'll put us in our downwind when we are turning around. So for the 180 degrees, and we'll do turns around the point. Now here's where you're going to have to cut me some slack, and maybe cut yourself some slack. It's easier to do ground reference maneuvers when you can really easily reference the ground. What a shocker. It is not super easy to reference the ground
obstacle
in
ahead.
a flight simulator. It's a lot harder to look out the window and pay attention to your altitude. So, humor me and yourself a little bit when doing these maneuvers in the flight sim. In my experience, it's a little bit easier to do these in real life, just because you can move your head around. Now, if you're doing this stuff in VR, which I would highly recommend as well, if you have the stuff for it, you should be able to more accurately perform these maneuvers. Also, keep in mind, again, different airplane. This is a simulator. It's not the same as your real-world airplane. So, again, cut yourself a little bit of slack. If you want to make fun of me in the comments, go for it. Just go easy on yourself. Okay. So I'm not going to do tune the radio, but we would tune to 123.5. And we would say Lake Conroe traffic, Cherokee 1800 Tango, doing turns around a point over the island, Lake Conroe traffic. So we're going to maintain 1,000 here. And is it behind us more or less yet? Yeah, okay. We can go ahead and do our clearing turn. So we're looking for airplanes, want to maintain 1,000. We also make sure we're pretty visible for the maneuver. So the lane light on, taxi light on, turn on our fuel pump because we're low to the ground. Let's just keep our approach checklist in as well for safety. Okay. So now we are coming up on the island. There she blows. And we're going to be doing our turns around a point around the island. We're a little close to it, so this might be a little wonky. But let's do what we can, okay? This is a relatively steep turn around the point. Real world, you want to be probably a little bit further away from the object that you're doing this with, just because you don't want to exceed the 30 degrees of bank. Is it 25? 10, 20? I need to know this stuff. It's whatever this outside marker is. You see that just on my altimeter, or sorry, on my attitude indicator, you can see the triangle. You want to be you don't want to exceed that marking just to the left of my triangle there. If you do, you've failed the maneuver. So you definitely don't want to keep these turns super sharp. We're pretty close within margin here. So it wasn't super duper close that much, that way it's impossible, but still. There's lap 1, by the way. You also want to practice maintaining 1,000 feet. Or sorry, maintain whatever altitude you started at. You want to be climbing or descending. Much easier to do with calm winds. I shouldn't have given myself that excuse, because now I'm going to screw something up and I won't have anything to blame but myself. That's okay. So the practice here is that you're able to control the bank of the airplane and that you're able to visually reference stuff on the ground with where your current position is in your airplane, while maintaining altitude, and also doing things like making sure you're not changing your speed too much. And it's also proven that you can handle making the necessary changes in your control to accommodate things like poor wind, which you would have more of in real life than I currently have in the sim right now. Okay, this is the end of our second lap. Thank you, Island. We can go ahead and stop you. So now we want to perform our next maneuver, which is a power off stall. So we're going to go ahead and climb. Power off stall, clear the area, slow the airplane down as if approaching for landing. Initiate a descent, retard the throttle, then bank up to induce a stall. Recover. So we're going to climb up to 2,000 feet. I'm also going to vaguely start turning to the east here, just so that way I can do the next bit of this as efficiently as possible, which the next one we have is a navigation practice, which will be diverting. I happen to already know where I want to divert to, which will be Conroe Airport here. And still okay, so there is 2,000 there. We can go ahead and slow it down, capture that. And let's go ahead and start a maneuver here at 2,000. So first notch of flaps, slowing down. I'm going to more or less maintain this altitude while we slow down. Do our second notch of flaps. Slowing down until we are at a good approach speed, which is right about there. Go third notch of flaps. Start our descent down. Go ahead and retard our throttle. Hold back on our bank here. And then once we get close, we can just pull back on the yoke as if we're flaring. Fight the stall. There's the stall. Apply full throttle. Remove our first notch of flaps. Wait until we are no longer falling and climbing. Remove our second notch of flaps. And third notch of flaps. And that is the end of that maneuver. So we can go ahead and turn towards Conroe Airport. We can get the ATIS for our next step, which is diverting to an airport. Sierra. Okay, so we have Sierra. Come on. Okay. So we have Sierra, so I would tune to the tower frequency, and I would say Conroe Tower, Cherokee 1800 Tango, is about, let's see, we are about 6 miles to the northwest, inbound for a touch and go departure to the south. And we are just skirting the airspace, so they come back and they would say Cherokee 00 Tango, Conroe Tower. Did I say Hooks Tower? They would say enter straight in, cleared straight in. Let's just say that, yeah, well, let's make this really easy on me, guys. Clear to land, straight in approach, runway 14. Enter a 4-mile final. And I would say 4-mile final, 14, clear to land, Cherokee 1800 Tango. So let's just, again, making it easy on me. They've cleared me to land, so now I can go in to Conroe. Now I could be tuning my GPS, but instead I can already see the airport, so why tune my GPS for the diversion? So they cleared us in, and we're going to start our descent now, getting down to pattern altitude. Pattern altitude, by the way, here is 1250, so we're still pretty high and pretty fast. So the diversion, by the way, divert to new airport, identify nearby airport, either perform a touch and go or go around at that airport. So that's what we're going to do. We've been cleared for a touch and go. Or actually, he's a clear to land. I'm not good at simulating my own radio calls. We are, we're going to do a touch and go. Just pretend that the rest of the calls all made sense, okay? So we're inside the white arc, going to go flaps 1. Still high. Still pretty fast, but we're dumping it down.
500.
Flaps 2. There's red over white, so we can go ahead and lower it down, slow it down a bit here. All right, landing checklist. Fuel pump is on, mixture is rich, landing lights are on, gears down and locked, no prop to worry about. Just a little fast. Okay, flaps are up. Go full throttle. Rotate. Not my best landing, but what are you gonna do? So now he'd probably say something along the lines of, he being the tower, he or she, they'd probably say, Cherokee 1800 Tango, southbound departure approved, have a good day. I would say southbound departure approved, Cherokee 1800 Tango. So we're climbing up, going to climb up again to 1500, and we're going to head back to our main airport. But next episode, we're going to be doing the emergency test, the emergency procedure, and then the final landing procedure once we get there. So thanks for watching. See you in the next episode.